So hello and welcome to the Internet Business School surgery session. And today it's with myself, Roger Norris from the Internet Business School in the UK. Hope you're all well. Thanks for joining me today. And if you're catching up on the YouTube channel, we appreciate it. Okay, so in today's session, what I want to do is to do a deep dive into a bit of Google software called NotebookLM. Okay, so let's just have a little look through the audience. Who has used NotebookLM? Okay, I expect to see quite a few me's. Oh, I'm just seeing no's at the moment. Come on. Well, good. It's good that you're here to find out more about it because it's a cool bit of software. Okay, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay, we've got a few people who've used it, which is great. Okay, so let's have a look at what this bit of software is. Okay, so first off to note is it's free to use. Okay, so anything free, we love it. And it was introduced by Google back in actually July 2023. They first launched it. What it's designed to be originally was kind of like a student note taker. And to be a research partner for people to put all their documents in one place and then ask AI targeted questions about all their sort of research documents. Okay, so it kind of started off in a very academic format. I think there we are, July the 12th, 2023. It started off initially as something called Project Tailwind, and then they released it back in 2023 as NotebookLM. And it's really cool. Sorry, I've even got the original post here. And they were saying here that it's designed for students and professors and knowledge workers to help them synthesize facts and ideas from multiple sources and try and make the connections between those subjects. Now, when NotebookLM was first released, it was kind of ignored. Okay, not many people were using it. And oh gosh, I think it was about a year ago, there was a kind of a new release of audio overviews, which I'm going to show you. And that kind of blew up the internet because it was done really, really well. And it allowed AI to look at all your context sources and then create a kind of like a conversation between two people about your projects or your research notes. And it was really, really cool. Okay, so a lot of people saw that and said, oh, this is great, and played with it for a while, but then didn't actually work out how to use the power that's actually inside NotebookLM. Now, in the last year, Google have kept on developing and developing NotebookLM, and they've been adding new features and new things that you can do. And even up to about 5 days ago, there was another big update. So I want to cover that today as well. So effectively, what they've done now is they've really improved the model, the large language model version of Gemini that they've got running NotebookLM behind the scenes. And they've got a huge context window. So it says here an 8 times larger context window. So that effectively means what they've actually increased it to is 1 million tokens, which is like 750,000 words that you can input into one conversation. It's just a huge amount of data that you can upload into AI and to have it give you answers and to analyze your information. Okay. Right. Let me see, get rid of this one because I've just covered this. So how do you access the NotebookLM? So the first thing you do is you come to, you just Google NotebookLM and you get to a kind of like a home page here, notebooklm.google. Okay, let me just see if I can copy this one. Wrong keyboard. Sorry, I've got two keyboards and they're slightly set up differently on which the copy button is, and I always get it wrong. Okay, there's copy and paste. So I'm just putting the link directly into chat just to make it easy for you. Okay, so you can access it on your desktop. They've got mobile apps as well, so you can have your Notebook LM access with you all the time. Okay, so to access Notebook LM, you need a Google account. So as long as you've got a Gmail, which I'm sure pretty much everyone has nowadays, you can log in and start working. Now, if you have a paid plan to Google, you get extra features in here. Okay, so you can upgrade on a paid plan to something called Google LM Pro, which gives you lots of more audio overviews and video overviews, more notebook queries, all sorts of other premium features. So it's well worth, basically, when you log into Notebook LM, you will know whether you've got a pro account because you will be able to see it. Okay. And let me just show you, I'll show you what happens when I click on Notebook LM. It loads me into the dashboard. Okay. And then in the top right hand corner, I've got a little word that says Pro. Okay. Because I've got Gemini Pro set up, which is only what, £18 a month, something like £20 a month, and you get a bunch of features. And this is one of the bits of software that you get upgraded with that account. But if you've got something like a Google Workspace account, that could give you pro access as well. I think I've got a little page here that sort of tells you what you've got. So if you've got Google AI Pro or Google AI Ultra, you get extra. You can upgrade via the Google Cloud as well. If you've got Google Workspace, if you've got Education Google, you can get extra capacity out of these notebooks. Okay, so that's just the sort of a background to how you access it. Let's get rid of some of the tabs. I hate having so many tabs open on here. Right. Okay. I've done a little bit of a summary here, a visual summary of what you get with a pro upgrade. So with a standard notebook, a standard account, you can create up to 100 notebooks with 50 source documents per notebook. Okay, if you have a pro account, you can create 500 notebooks, each with 300 source documents behind it. It'll make sense in a minute when I show you it. And then you can talk more to them as well. Okay, so there is a good benefit from having an upgrade. Okay, so what is all the fuss about and how does it work? So when you drop first into Notebook LM, you come to this sort of dashboard. And what Google have done is they've created some free featured notebooks just to show you what the power of this product is. Okay, and so there's one here which got the complete works of William Shakespeare, and essentially what they've done is they create this this notebook, and they've uploaded every single Shakespeare play into the training. Okay, everyone is here in full, and it's so when we ask a question in the chat here, so this is where the chat box is in Notebook LM, it will know everything about these plays. Okay, which is fantastic. You know, if you were sort of trying to do this straightforward on the internet, okay, or within a normal Gemini or ChatGPT chat, okay, those chats have certain restrictions, and then it's based on the general training data of those large language models. When we have a chat inside a notebook, it's primarily reading all of your source documents first. Okay, so that is the focus of its knowledge base, rather than going off and looking online for all the other information it can find about William Shakespeare's and plays. Okay, so it's kind of a slight tweak in its focus. Okay, so you can access all these free accounts or these free notebooks. There are some really useful ones in here. I think they did one where they've put all the earnings reports of the top 50 corporations in here, secrets of the super ages. This strange one here is a science fan guide to visiting. It's actually Yellowstone National Park underneath. So there's some really good information. The challenge then becomes for us to work out how you want to use it. Okay, so I can make various notebooks for myself and add in lots of different interesting information into them. So, for instance, I'm down in Hastings and in the UK, and I'm kind of interested in history of the local area. So I've got my own special notebook here where I'm adding in lots of extra information I found about Hastings history. Okay, I've had ones for the local council. I've got ones for Simon's new farm, for courses, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go through the process of showing you what we can do with a notebook. So let's just create one, and then it will make a bit of sense. So the first point of call when we are creating a notebook is to add some source information. Okay, so if you were doing it on something that you a hobby or an interest or a business or something like that, this is where you would upload any file or information file you've got on your business or your hobby. Okay, and upload them into here. Okay, so or you can add the things from your Google Drive as well. You can add website links and you can add YouTube videos. So as long and that's proviso that the YouTube video has closed captions or a transcript. So it's got to be a more modern YouTube video. Okay, because it actually just reads the transcript of the video. Okay, or you can copy and paste into here. Now, I've got a pro account, so I can set up a notebook with 300 sources. Now, each one of the sources that you can put into here are pretty huge. I think it's something like 500,000 tokens of information that can go into each source. Now, that's that's about 300,000 words. So it's effectively, I could put a book or two books into as one source into here if I wanted to. So you can get a huge amount of information into these books. Okay, so let's have a little idea from the audience of a subject matter or an interest or a problem that you're interested in, and we can see if how quickly we can build a notebook around that subject. So yeah, give me some ideas. Drop them into chat and we shall have a look. We've got prop tech, we've got making money with AI. Okay, Sherlock Holmes stories, good. AI, how to manage conflicts. Okay, okay, let's think of that as a slightly broader subject. Okay, so this is oh, we've got attaining enlightenment, lightning, exploring NC 500. Okay, I don't know what NC 500 is, so we'd have to explore what that is. Okay, household plumbing and drainage. It is really good. Yeah, I actually on a private version of this, my personal one, I made one that had all the information about air source heat pumps. Because I'm in the process of swapping my heating over to an air source heat pump. So I brought in all the information about that, and I'm able to ask it all about that stuff. A history of horror stories, pros and cons of personal ID cars. How about non-toxic building materials such as insulation? Okay. Uh, Curing AFib. Okay. Air source heat pumps, don't do it. Okay. It's too late. It's too late. The gas boiler's on the blow, so it's uh, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. We've got to save the environment somehow, haven't we? Okay, and I do have a wood burner in the home, so if I need fast heat, I can just fire up and put a log on the wood burner, and it gets over that little bit of slow heat that you get from air source heat pumps. Okay, I've got it covered, I think. Okay, no problem. I'm just going to pick one of these. We've got how to invest in property in here. Okay. Simon had a good one there, setting up a podcast. Um, that might work. Okay. All right, because they can bring in lots of information about that, and it's also a little bit relevant to this platform actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on because I haven't got any context already around any of these subjects, so I need to go off and find it. Okay, so what I do is click on the discover sources, and we can prompt in here to say what we would like to find information on. Okay, and we're just going to start general setting up a podcast, and we're going to search the web and click submit, and it will go away and it will try and find the best links and data sources of how to set up a podcast. It's specifically trained to try and look for the most reliable sources. Okay, so it's not going to necessarily go off into random areas. Okay, because we need good quality information in our notebooks. Okay. Well, it's taking its time, isn't it? It doesn't do this when you're not watching. When I do it on my own, it does this really quickly. Okay. So yeah, it's always the perils of live training. No problem, Simon. Not your fault. Okay. So yes, Robert says, how does it discern a good source? So a good source, each website is going to have a kind of like a almost like a Google. Well, it's based on sort of Google rankings, isn't it? So if a website's got lots of sort of connections and validation sources, then it's going to have a sort of higher trust rating. Well, this is not working. Come on. That's no good. Right, I'm just going to cross out of this one. Okay, and try again. So I'm going to click here and click discover sources, starting a podcast, and try again and see if it can do that. This is when we find that Google Gemini or NotebookLM has stopped working. Okay, no, here we are. That's good. Right, so it's defined some good potential sources for how to start a podcast. Okay, so we've got one here, and it's got the links to it as well if you wanted to go and check them. Okay, so I know what I'd do is if I wanted to upload it and import it, it's already pre-ticked. If there's any that we don't really want to import, then we can untick it. Okay, but there's stuff about, I've done 500 episodes with Buzzsprout. That's good. What equipment do you recommend? Podcasting microphones, what software you're using, quick, simple guide to mixing your podcast. So lots of stuff. So if I wanted to take those 10 sources and just import them, that's great. It's going to import all that information and put it inside my notebook. Now, there will be obviously some websites online that have been turned off to be accessed by AI chatbots. Okay, so some of those potential sources are not going to appear in your discovery search. Okay, so for instance, I know some of the big media websites have got the ability for AI chatbots to troll them. All that is blocked. Okay, but if there was a particular article or document or that you wanted to add um, to your notebook that you couldn't just import as a standard, all you'd do is you'd go to that website and take a print of the page. Okay, so let's just show you how to do that really quickly because it's a good workaround. Okay, so for instance, if there's, I don't know, no, I don't want probably live politics in the UK. Let's just choose something from an opinion piece. Uh, Bang, we'll chuck that in. If we wanted to put this article into um, into our notebook, okay, and imagine that the Guardian newspaper didn't let AI read this site. All I'd do is in Chrome, I'd go to the top and I'd click File, Print, and then the option comes up to save as PDF. Okay, so if you save that page as a PDF, you can give it a little title, save it to downloads. Okay, and then you can then go back to your notebook and upload it. Sorry, it's this one. Yeah, so we just add it as a source by clicking on here and doing a sort of a file upload. Okay, so that's a bit of a workaround for sources that don't work. Okay, so we've got a little bit of information in there about podcasting. Okay, now if I didn't, because it's a subject area, maybe I don't know what questions to ask AI to find new sources. Okay, what my tactic is then going to be is to go to something like Google Gemini and say this. I am starting a notebook in NotebookLM, and the notebook is based around getting started in podcasting. Create me a list of potential source ideas to add into the discovery element of NotebookLM to find really good context information to help me build my notebook. Okay, so if you haven't got all the ideas, then AI is going to say, right, what are you interested in? And give you some discovery questions. So here's the first one. What are the most successful podcast niches in the current market and what makes them unique? Okay, so that's fine. We can then go back to our notebook and click the discovery and paste in that question and off you go. Okay. Sorry, just while that's working, Alexandra said, where's the menu with file print? I can't see it. The screen is too small. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Alexandra. Just in whatever browser you're using. Okay, I'm using a Chrome browser. So I just go up to the top menu bar right at the top here, and there's a file print option. Okay, it's kind of like in the old days, it was print screen. Okay, but if you file, print, and save as a PDF, that's really good. Okay, right. So here's some new sources that we can add in here. Hottest podcast statistic trends 2025. Why brands are betting on niche podcasting in 2025. Okay, so some really useful stuff here. And okay, I'm just going to import those training documents. Okay, right. So that's all in there. And so I can then go through back to Gemini and choose any more of these suggestions it's got for me. There's quite a few. Okay, it's also got some other source ideas for industry guides, download PDF guides like how to start a podcast, web and web articles, YouTube tutorials, podcast case studies, checklist and templates, and oh look, someone's already done how to make a podcast from sources using NotebookLM on YouTube. Okay. So that's fine. Do you know what? I could add that in. So let me just click on this one and see what if this video's any good.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make.
There we go. And then I can just copy that link, go back to my notebook. It's this one here. And in the add sources bit, I can put a YouTube URL in here, and hopefully that will just add into the training. Okay, so lots of different ways of building up our guide for podcasting. Another option, I'm not going to do it right now, okay, but actually I'll just ask. We can use AI deep research to give us lots of targeted information to go directly into our notebook. Okay, so let's just suggest a deep research prompt I could run. Bang. We might well use all the tools. And so it's suggested this one. Synthesize the most effective strategies for a new niche podcast to establish a sustainable keyword optimized content funnel. Okay, that sounds good. So I would just copy that one. I'm just going to open up a separate Gemini tab just so I can keep the deep researches runs separate. And I'm going to go into the tool section, deep research, and paste that in and run that. It will just have a quick look at this, create a plan, and then I'll be able to kick off the research. Okay, and we'll be able to come back and grab that document and add it into our training. Okay, so lots of cool strategies to get this information. So whatever subject matter you're working on, you can go through this process. If it's something that you're already interested in, or it's like your business, you've already got a load of that context, but you can add extra stuff all the time. And I say, if you've got a pro account, we can get up to 300 source documents in here. On the free account, is it 50 or 100 the source documents you've had? I think 50. If you ever get to the point where you've run out of space for the source documents and you want to add extra, then the simple thing you do is take 2 or 3 or 4 of these individual source documents and collate them together into one document. Okay, so you've got a massive amount of data you can upload in one single source file. So just collate them together, and you've still got all that information into the training, into the notebook background. Okay, but it allows you to then add more source documents. Okay, so that's a little workaround hack. Now, once you've got all your training data, or to start with, then we can start asking questions around this data. Okay, so you do this inside here, and it brings up some initial ideas for questions. I might make this one a bit bigger because it's getting a bit small down here. Let's make it a bit bigger. There we are. So we've got us an idea of what essential steps and tools define a professional podcast production workflow. How does strategic planning and branding and monetization ensure long-term podcast success? But we could start with something simple and say, I am thinking of starting a podcast on how to make money in AI. Where should I start? Okay, I'll try and link in two things at once. Okay, don't matter about my dodgy typing skills. AI will understand it. Okay. So what it will then do is it will look through all its source documents and build up a plan to answer that question. Now, this is hugely powerful. Here we are, starting a, let's just go, it's going mad, lots of really good information. Starting a podcast on how to make money in AI should begin with defining your niche and audience within that topic, as niching down is the most crucial step for success and monetizing business-to-business content. Okay. And what it does handily is it gives you the sort of reference link in the training as to where it's found that content. So this is in document 1. Okay, or you can open up and see all the places. So there's a reference to it in niching down in document 2, document 3. Okay, so it means you can go back through and reference back the individual link that it was on or document, which is really useful and builds up the trust in your information. Okay, so it says that I should use something like the PATH framework, purpose, audience, topic, and hallmark, uniqueness. Okay, that's cool. And once defined, pick a memorable and relevant brand name. Then we're going to set up your production, your recording and environment, equipment, your recording and edited software, and gives examples of these as well, format and scripting, video components, etc. So it's all kind of like mapped out there as an overview. And then I can just keep on going through this this conversation to drill down on individual steps. So, if I found that there was a sort of a gap missing in its knowledge, I could just go back to the source bit and ask a new question to find sources relevant to that podcasting section to fill in the knowledge gap. Okay. A couple of questions there. Martin says, is the notebook for your own use or do you give access to it, free or paid? Okay. Now, if you've got a pro plan, okay, this is mainly about research. It's not necessarily about sort of making money. But if you've got a pro plan, you can share it with people. And you can either restrict it or have a full access to the notebook. Okay, so there's people who've made this, made notebooks for, I suppose you could make one for a stay at a hotel stay or for a big country house with all the information about the history, and people could access it as they went around and asked questions about what they're seeing. Okay, so you can make it public, but as far as I know, you can't put it behind a sort of a paywall. Okay, there are people who share their notebooks out. Okay, and you can search for sort of public-facing notebooks back in the main dashboard. Okay, or the other actual place to find notebooks that I've discovered is in Discord. So there's a Discord channel for NotebookLM, and there's a lot of people in there putting their links into their own notebooks as well. Okay, right. So once you've got all this information. I say you can ask all sorts of questions. I've seen examples where people have built notebooks with case history for legal cases, and they have them all in here, and so they can ask legal questions referencing all the case law that they're interested in. I've seen authors using them. So authors, when they're writing a book, they've got lots of different bits of notes and context information about their characters and plots and locations and what's actually happened in the book. And they can upload all their notes into one place and make sure that they stay on track with their writing, so they haven't forgotten that they killed a character off earlier on in the book and then had it say something later on. You know, it just helps them keep on track that way. Okay, so lots of use cases. I've seen people who have been adding in context information in here and then saying, well, how do I write me a course on this? Okay, so let's just try it. Annoyingly, there isn't voice typing in NotebookLM, which is a bit annoying for me. But I can just say, if I wanted to create a course on this, suggest an outline. That's cool. Yeah, Simon says this would have been brilliant for J.K. Rowling. Yeah, lots of information to try and keep a track on. Okay, it's very good for the students and research people, being able to put lots of different sort of context information in from lots of places. I've seen people using it for kind of like personal medical research. So if someone's got a particular condition, they can bring in and search for all the sort of random trials and things like that, and information about their condition, and drag it into a notebook, and then ask questions about their condition. So I've seen a lot of people using it that way. That's cool. So yeah, we've got an outline for a course here. Okay, sorry, while I was talking, it popped out a long old course outline. Okay, so that would be something else you could follow up on. That's cool. There's options here to any of your outputs here, just to save that particular output as a note, and it sort of generates a reply note here in the studio side of the dashboard, where you can go back and see some particularly relevant answers. Okay, so yeah, so that's the sort of chat side of stuff. Now, a lot of more of the fun happens in the studio side. Actually, sorry, a couple of questions. Paul says, could you upload a 31,000 word book and ask for ways to improve the book? You sure could. You could upload 100 31,000 word books into here, into one notebook. It would cope with that easily. Okay, you saw that one there with the complete works of Shakespeare. Bang, all in one notebook. It's really cool. Okay, yeah, the fun happens over in the studio side, because they've started putting on a whole load of extra fun tools in here, which make it engaging, can help you create content, and are also good for sort of teaching you as well. So if you were creating a notebook, so you could do one for your kids. I've seen people, make one for their kids' maths or a school project. Something on the planets, say, and bring in lots of information about planets into here, and just ask all your questions. And then you could use an option here to generate an AI interactive quiz based on your sources. You can create flashcards. Medical students are using these to help revise for exams. You can create a mind map based on your sources, more detailed reports. You can create an audio overview and a video overview. And so lots of cool things you can do. Let's just show you what these are going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the generation, because it'll take a bit of a moment. I'm going to start the generation of the audio overview and show you how that works. I'm not going to worry about this button quite yet. I'm going to show you how this works. So this is going to generate an audio overview of our context information. And this is one of the things that was that blew up the internet. Everyone was saying, wow, this is so cool. Let's have a look at a mind map of our information as well. And we could generate some reports based on our information. So we click on reports. It gives us options about us creating our own specific reports. Okay, so we could just go, give me a report on this, that, and the other of our information. You can create a briefing document, a study guide, a blog post, a strategic plan, a white paper, an instructional manual, or a comparison report. So lots of cool ways of doing this. So yeah, if I wanted to create a blog post, that sounds really good. So we can, it's given us a rough idea of an output prompt. We could adapt this and change this, or I could, go back to the other Gemini and say, right, I want to create a blog post that matches my speaking style or so-and-so website. Give me a prompt for NotebookLM to create that blog post inside my notebook. Yeah, so use the other Gemini AI to change the words in here that suits you. You can also translate it into a whole load of languages. If we wanted a blog post in Catalan or Dansk or Euskara, lots of languages I don't recognize that way. We can have it in Latin if we wanted to. That's going to have a wide readership. So yeah, a good chunk of languages, including the squiggly ones as well. Lots and lots of different options. Okay, so that's really cool. I think we'll just stick to English though. And let's just generate this one so we can see a report going. Okay, so one of the first ones there, the podcast, has got in. Let's just see if it's done. Let's just close audio. The audio overview is still generating. It can take a little bit of time, because some of these audio overviews that it produce will be 10 to 15 minutes long of audio. It's a decent chunk. And while that's generating, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try a little trick, okay? Because sometimes these things stick a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick refresh. Okay, and sometimes that will they'll finish automatically. Okay, but yeah, they're still going. Right. Okay, so this is the mind map option that it's brought up. So I can drag around the screen, and it's branched it down from the podcast ecosystem mixing and post-production steps, post niche podcast focus. If we want to know about that path framework, we can open that out into a wider subsection. If we want to know more about purpose, we can break it all down. Okay, so a really good, for the visual learners, it's a really good way of summarizing all that information. And you can also, it's quite nice for potentially making infographics as well. So if you needed an infographic for a website that's in a mind map format, this is just a screenshot away, isn't it? So it's all about being able to make create good context. There's a button here that allows you to expand all nodes straight away, but that gets a little bit messy. So it's done quite a big job there with that mind map. So there's a lot of work that's gone into building it, and you can download it as well as a PNG. That's cool. Right, let's get rid of that one. Lovely. Let's just get out of the mind map. Okay, we're still generating audio overview. Happy days. Okay, that's fine. That's the mind map. This is what's this one? That's the podcast strategy. Okay, so that's that's the little sort of note and chat that we were having. Okay. Oh, right, here we go. We've got our audio overview done. And we've got options I'm just going to play it first in the standard mode. Okay. Now let's show you what it does.
Welcome to the deep dive. So you've got your mic set up, you're past that initial hurdle, great. But now comes the real work, right? Really mastering the strategy, the sound, and let's be honest, the money side of podcasting successfully in 2025.
That's exactly it. Look, today we're trying to boil down a ton of advice, everything from the techie stuff like mixing and gear choices all the way to B2B strategy and thinking about video. The goal here isn't just getting downloads, those vanity metrics. It's about real results, measurable impact for your business, your brand, deep engagement, building an actual pipeline.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that, because before we even think about a new microphone, we need strategy, right?
Yeah.
And the core thing we found, really across all the sources, it seems simple, but it's kind of a game changer. Success isn't about reaching more people, it's about reaching the right people.
Precisely. Yeah. If you're doing this for like a professional reason, you have got to define that audience super specifically. Our source.
Okay, so yeah, the AI voices that they've got in here and the way they've set this up are pretty wow. Okay, they're always the same too. Okay, so you don't have a choice of characters, but I imagine that might come down the line at some point. It's probably about the most requested thing to be able to have those voices in different styles, or have two women talking, or this, that, and the other. But we don't have that yet. Okay, but the quality of the conversation they create is really cool. And so I just did a straightforward audio overview there. But if I click on that sort of edit button, we can do it in lots of different ways. We could have a bite-sized overview, an expert critique, a debate format. Again, you could choose a whole ton of languages, including the squiggly ones. We can make it shorter and longer, or we can target what they're going to focus on. Okay, so if you wanted an audio overview of one element of setting up a podcast, okay, so imagine you were making a course, then we could say, right, I want you to focus on kind of lesson one of my course, which covers this area, and they're just going to have a chat about it. And it's So cool. So you can create some really good content. The only slight difficulty now is because it is those two standard voices. People who are experienced in Notebook LM are going to go, oh, okay, you generated that using Notebook LM when they hear them. But for most people who have never come across this platform, and hey, we had quite a few people on here today who said, no, I haven't seen it, then you're going to wow people. Okay. Now, just while there's a few questions coming in about can Notebook LM do this? Can Notebook LM do that? Now, if I'm just going to actually, let me just go back to this one, and I'm going to set the video overview running. Okay, and then I'll answer that question. So on the video overview, we can get it to create an explainer video or a brief video. So I'm just going to set up a brief one just for generation time. You've got visual styles that you can choose. Retro print, heavy British papercraft. Okay. Most of the time I've done it, I've allowed it to auto select. And again, we can sort of focus on, put a prompt in here to tell AI particularly what to focus on. Okay, but let me just keep it standard and I'll get that started. So it's going to now create a video overview, okay, using some of the voices that it's already created. But it's going to create some slides and stuff to demo it. Right, even more cool. Right, now what was I saying? People are asking questions about how Notebook LM works. And what Notebook LM did was saying, okay, the best way to help people answer questions about what Notebook LM can do is to access our introduction to Notebook LM. And this is a public notebook where they've put in all their sort of information and training documentation about how to use it. And you could just ask questions. Okay, so this is a public notebook, so you can actually see some of the visual and audio overviews that people have created in different languages. Or actually, some of these are the ones that they pre-made to help deliver the content. But yeah, if you've got any questions, you just chuck them into chat. So I saw people asking, okay, actually, there were a couple of questions in here already. Sorry, I just pressed the button. Robert said, I believe that Notebook LM is an application based on RAG technology. At one point, does one move from Notebook LM to a RAG like Pinecone or Weaviate? Okay, so there's a techie question, Rob. Okay. Okay, so there's things to unpack in there. And it's probably a little bit over and above our standard audience. But it's a good question. Okay, so RAG technology is retrieval augmented generation. I think I got that right. Which means in our standard Gemini chats or ChatGPT chats, we are chatting with an AI entity just based on its training. Okay, or stuff that it goes off and looks at the internet. So when I ask Gemini to create this deep research article, which it's now created, which is great. So we better add that as a bit of training document to our other notebook. Okay, but when we asked it to create that, it went off and it searched the internet and it built this. And then it's stopped. Okay, it's not doing anything. If I ask another question in here, AI goes back to the very start of the conversation in the thread and then works through all the whole conversation thread you've had with AI, puts that into its deep inner workings and produces an answer for you. Okay, it's not holding anything in a memory as such. Okay, but with this notebook LM format, we have got all our sort of training documents as kind of like a memory, a reference guide that it can go to and look up relevant information. Okay, so I'm pretty sure if we ask this question in here, Robert, it will probably say that it's holding all this information directly inside something like Google Cloud servers rather than taking it out to other sites like Pinecone or Weaviate. Pinecone is an odd one. Vectors. It all talks about vectors. But yeah, if you've got those really technical questions, Robert, you can just drop it into here and it's going to answer your question. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about what the answer to the question is. Okay, but that's your guide. So I've seen people use this to ask about sort of copyright, plagiarism, all sorts of stuff like that. So any questions, drop them into this introduction to NotebookLM notebook. Okay, it's kind of like like a help document based on the product itself. It's really cool. If they've got other stuff to add to it, they can just add extra training documents. Okay, let's just see what this is doing. It's generating a video overview, still going. We can generate a quiz as well, and we can generate flashcards. We can go easy, medium, hard. And we can change the number of cards it's generated. This is probably not the best subject area for flashcards, but imagine how many people here are parents with sort of young kids or teenage kids, and this as a learning tool, as a learning resource for children, teenagers, whatever. Fantastic. They can drop in all their bits of information, create themselves a quiz and flashcards, and especially if they're visual learners, really, really useful. And also for us slightly older, wrinkly people, we like to learn some new things, don't we? Okay, so we can just create our own. If you wanted to teach yourself macrame or model boat building, anything like that, just create yourself a notebook and ask it questions and build up the training sources. It's really cool. Catherine says, are there any limitations to its knowledge-based sourcing? For instance, in science and medical subjects, how reliable would the information be? Okay, so I was quite fortunate actually when I was doing the discovery of these sources, that every one of these sources was an acceptable upload into NotebookLM. Occasionally you'll find one that's blocked and there'll be a sort of red cross here and it hasn't worked on an upload. And that might be pointing to an issue with the website, or it might be pointing to an issue with the reliability. Okay, but NotebookLM behind the scenes, as part of its kind of like guardrails and guidance, it's using Google Gemini, but it's using a specifically trained version of Google Gemini to drive these notebooks. Okay, so they've specifically trained it for these audio overviews to create them in a certain way. They've specifically trained it to research the web in a certain way. They've trained it to of how it looks at all the information in all these documents from lots of different angles and directions when you ask a question. Okay, so it's very nuanced in what it's doing. Okay, but you basically you are in control of the training documents that go in here, Catherine. Okay, so uh, if in terms of the subject matter that you put in, it's going to be for you to personally judge whether it's reliable, whether it's a good source and a trusted source to go into your notebook. Okay. So I hope that kind of answers that for you, Catherine. Okay. But sometimes it's, there's, in when you're talking about sort of medical research and stuff, there's quite often there's people who do medical studies just by looking at the results of 25 other medical studies and collated them into one big study. Yeah. So people do that all the time. And that's almost what we're doing here. We're just taking those sort of 25 little studies and then creating a new version here that accesses all the data between the two and looks for sort of contradictory ideas or conflicting ideas, crossovers, all sorts of stuff like that. It's kind of how science moves forward, isn't it? By taking something from someone else's study or something else someone has developed or found out or discovered and applying it to a different area of science. Okay, that's how things move forward. Right, the video overview is still going. That's fine. What I'll do, I'll come back to this one and just show you a few more examples of ones that I've done. So I have a source for my prompting, and I put in some prompts and prompts information and stuff like that, and that helps me learn more about prompting. And I've got audio overviews running of that as well. I have in the process of doing a new notebook for Simon's new farm, which is going to have some holiday stays and things like that. So I've created a whole load of sort of research documents and stuff like this that go into this this notebook. So anyone who's doing my 21-day AI expert will have more about this in the training course. Okay, but this is where I'm sort of creating audio overviews and video overviews that I'm going to kind of be using for potentially marketing for the farm and getting up different ideas about how to develop the farm. I built one for a whole big website. This is quite an interesting one, the CPD standards. I was just doing a demo for them of what these notebook LMs could do. And if you've got a kind of like a company with lots and lots of pages on their website, so a school page, one of the local comprehensive schools, I was just doing a demo for them. I just put in all of their website as the training source. And so if I was a parent wanting to know what the what's the lateness policy, then I could get it to go through and check all the sources. Oh, right, I haven't. Okay, it gives me the link to it as well. So I could go and find out. Sorry, I did this a while ago, so I probably haven't refreshed it, or they've changed their website. So I'd have to go and refresh the sources. But it was just a great way for a parent to find out, have all the information about a particular school in one place. My daughter recently changed jobs. And you know what it's like when you change jobs, you just get all these different policy documents and contracts and terms and conditions, and you sign this, sign that, and have you done this, have you done that, and this is our policy. Okay, so I just got her to put it all into one notebook LM. So if she was unsure about anything, she could just ask a question in here and get the answer. it's kind of like your own personal chatbot for your business or for your whatever you're doing. Lots of different ways of doing it. Okay. Robert says, can you share your prompting notebook? Sorry, Robert. It's mine. It's just a personal one, Robert. Okay, there's some personal ones in here. There's nothing really entirely suitable for me to share for you on these ones. Okay, they're just bits and pieces, but they've also got a lot of my prompts in, so which are out in some of the other paid courses. So I can't show you that one. Really sorry. But yeah, if you want to investigate the public ones, they're really cool as well. Let's just see if this video overview has finally made its. It's still going. How annoying. Okay, so what I'll do is always have a backup plan. Here is an explaining video for Honeypot Farm. See if I can make it a bit bigger. Let's make it full screen. Here we go.
All right, let's just get right into it. Ever feel like you're just drowning in notifications, pings, emails, deadlines? Yeah? If you've ever just wanted to hit the off switch on all of it, trust me, you are so not alone. It's this feeling that's kind of taking over, this massive craving for just a little bit of peace and quiet. And you know, this quote from a rural retreat called Honeypot Farm, it just hits the nail on the head. Peace, both inside and out, is in short supply. It's so true. Peace has basically become this like luxury good, and because it's so rare, it's kicking off this huge cultural shift. We're all looking for a place to just breathe. So what's happening? Well, it's like we're seeing this modern-day exodus. Not people packing up for good, but for a little while. A great escape, right? And it's all driven by this thing some are calling modern fatigue.
Okay, so how cool is that? So that was just sort of based around all of my sort of context information. And it's using Nana Banana, which is the Google image and video image generation tool that came out a few months ago. In fact, just as a tease, we're waiting for Nana Banana 2 to be launched, apparently. There's people saying that it's coming very soon with Google Gemini 3.0. We started seeing teases of the release date around the 7th of November for Gemini 3.0. So that's going to be a really cool one to have a look at. But it's pretty good. I just did that as that explainer video as a kind of like I didn't give it any particular context apart from, I think, just saying, create me a video to help people find the farm and know why they should book it. It hasn't even opened yet. Simon's only just moved in, so it's not going to open for a while. But I'm ready for it when it happens, because I've got a load of information already built up for it, so we can hit the ground running with social media and websites and all that sort of stuff because of the work I've been doing in AI. So hopefully he'll appreciate it. Because I imagine it's going to be most of me giving him the posts, and he's going to be posting it. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, so they are most of the tools that you've got going inside of NotebookLM, and it's going to be dependent on you just creating a notebook, having a play with it, and building it up, finding out how the content generates for you, and then learning how to tweak it. You also might then, if you're in business, looking at this going, right, how can I apply this to my business, or how could I use it as an aid within my business? And my advice would be to have a conversation with AI, to get some ideas from AI about your business and how you could use NotebookLM to help you. Okay, it's Gemini. It knows all about NotebookLM, so it's going to come up with some really cool ideas, hopefully that you can test out. Okay, right. I think that's everything that I had to cover through that session. So there's always new stuff that's being released all the time. So it's worth keeping an eye out on NotebookLM just to see when new stuff lands. But if you've got Gmail, you've got access to that. You've had access to that for the last couple of years. So make use of it. It's really cool. Really cool. So just a reminder, the replays will be going onto our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ultimate Business System. I generally have them edited and done and launched on a Friday lunchtime in the UK I generally set it for about 1 p.m. GMT. But if you like and subscribe at that channel, you'll get noticed. And it's a great way of creating extra information and training and content, so that if you sign up for the Build Your Business and sign up for the Ultimate Business System software that we keep on talking about, you've got an extra way of sourcing content for that as well. That's cool. Right, so I hope that was a lot of value. Just have some fun with it, and if you've got any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, go into that how to use NotebookLM LM and ask questions in there. Cool. Lovely. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week, or 1 p.m. London time. We'll be on it. I think it's not me again. Just a heads up warning that we do this every Wednesday, but at Christmas time, we have a couple of weeks off, because you really don't want us there on, I think it's Christmas Eve is Wednesday, and New Year's Eve. So I think we've all got other things going on, so that there'll be a couple of weeks off over that period, but then we'll be back in the new year. Just a bit of an advance warning. Cool. Lovely. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'll see you next time.